Hi friends, Krista here. Thanks for stopping by Books and Jams. Today I'm going to talk about 5 books that I think are going to be 5-star predictions. I finished up my last round of 5-star predictions in December, and I held off on choosing 5 new books until I had all the books on my new recommendations cart that you guys recommended to me for this year, for 2023. And then I chose my 5 books off of that cart. I'm really excited to get to these books and to share them with you and to see if they're going to be 5 stars for me. I have a really good variety of types of books here. I have very high hopes. The first book on my stack, I'm going to go in order of highest rating. So with a 4.57 rating, we have As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Zulfa Katow. This one is a YA, so it does look kind of chunky, but the font is kind of big and the margins are pretty wide. But this one takes place in Syria, and we follow a teenage girl who's in pharmacy school. She has her brother and her parents still with her, but she's in Syria right at the time of kind of revolution starting and the war starting, and cries for freedom are breaking out all over. And she is volunteering at a hospital where lots of wounded are coming in, and she kind of has this secret desire to flee her country, except that she loves her country. She does have PTSD from some of the things that she's experienced, and then I think there's a little bit of a romance with a Syrian boy who makes her doubt her decision to leave or to stay. I've already heard really good things about it. It has such a high rating on Goodreads. I think this is going to be a winner for me as well. The second one is totally different. It's a contemporary Christian fiction, and that is The Extraordinary Deaths of Mrs. Kipp by Sarah Brunswald. This one has a 4.49 rating on Goodreads, which is also really high. And I've just heard a lot of people on BookTube raving about this book over the last 6 months or so, and I think I'm going to love it. We follow a young woman who is a journalist, reporter. She wants some of the harder articles to write. She pushes too hard, and so finally her boss gives her the task of writing an obituary for a woman who's not yet dead. She's just entered hospice care, Clara Kipp. So we have this older woman and this younger woman and their relationship, and I always love that. And it kind of helps the younger woman to get a new perspective of life, I believe. Describing Clara Kipp on the back, it says, "The spirited septuagenarian may be dying, but she's not quite ready to cash it in yet. Never one to shy away from an assignment herself, she can see that God brought the young reporter into her life for a reason. And if it's a story Aidan Kelly wants, that's just what Mrs. Kipp will give her, but she's going to have to work for it." So I am excited for this one, just purely based on so much love that everyone else has been giving it. I just think it's going to be a good one for me too. So, Extraordinary Deaths of Mrs. Kipp. Number 2. The third one has a 4.38 rating on Goodreads, which is pretty high, and that's The Darkest Child by Dolores Phillips. This one takes place in Georgia in the United States, and it takes place right in the midst of the 1950s Jim Crow era in Georgia. And we follow 13-year-old Tangi Mae Quinn. She's the 6th of 10 fatherless siblings. She's the darkest skinned among them and therefore the ugliest in her mother's estimation. But she's also the brightest. Her mother, Roselle, is beautiful, charismatic, and light-skinned, exercises a violent hold over her children. Fearing abandonment, she pulls them from school when they turn 12 and sends them to earn their keep, whether in domestic service in the fields or the farmhouse on the edge of town, where Roselle beds local men for money. But Tangi Mae has been selected to be part of the first integrated class at a nearby white high school. She has a chance to change her life, but can she break from Roselle's grasp without ruinous or even fatal consequences? I've heard really good things about this one already. I think it's going to be heart-wrenching, just that era itself, and I'm sure she's going to face a lot of racism if she goes to the white school, being one of the first children to be integrated. I think it's going to be an important read, but I think it's going to break my heart, and I'm always here for an emotional read. So I'm really looking forward to reading The Darkest Child by Dolores Phillips. The fourth book has a 4.37 rating on Goodreads, and that is The Unknown Beloved by Amy Harmon. And choosing an Amy Harmon for a 5-star predictions video is a pretty obvious choice. I've read maybe 5 or 6 books from her now, and only one of them I really didn't care for. The rest, I have loved them all. I'm really excited to read another one, so I kind of wanted an easy pick. This one is going to be a little different. It takes place in Chicago, and I think we follow a serial killer and this young woman whose parents die when she's young, in the 1920s, and the detective and the young woman whose parents have passed have some kind of relationship. I'm just really here for it. It's a little bit different. I love Amy Harmon because her books are all over the place as far as a niche. She does not have a niche or a little nook of writing that's hers. She writes historical fiction, she writes contemporary, she writes from different eras, she writes fantasy, she writes a little bit of everything, and I love that about her. So I'm really excited to dive into this Chicago 1920s serial killer novel. Mystery. It's going to be a bit of a mystery, and also the beginning of the Great Depression. So we're going to span a little bit of time here. So we're going to hit a little bit about the Great Depression as well. So I've heard mostly from Amanda at the Curly Reader and Gloria from Gloria Z. Thompson that they have absolutely loved this. So I'm really hoping that it's going to be a favorite of the year for me. If not just a 5-star. I wanted even more. I wanted to be a favorite of the year. All of these would be awesome to be favorites of the year. We'll see. The next one I'm choosing doesn't have one of the higher ratings on my cart. It is still a 4.14, which is a really good rating. But 5 or more of you have chosen this book for me to read this year. So I'm very invested in wanting to get to those particular ones that a lot of you picked. And that is Where the Forest Meets the Stars by Glendy Vandera. I loved the book The Snow Child by Eowyn Ivey. I thought it was a little bit slow paced, but I loved the feel of it. And this one has been compared to that. Yeah, a heartwarming magical story that will remind readers of a modern day The Snow Child. So I loved The Snow Child. There is a little bit of a magical element in here, as in The Snow Child. This woman, Joanna, is struggling with the loss of her mother, her own battle with breast cancer, and this young girl, Ursa, is kind of dropped into her life and says that she has been sent from the stars to witness 5 miracles. And so Joanna is trying to figure out, who is this girl? Who does she belong to? What do I do with this girl who's kind of been placed in my life, my circle right now? She kind of recruits her a reclusive neighbor, Gabriel, who's dealing with his own baggage, to help her figure out what to do with Ursa. And so it's going to focus on these 5 miracles and this little girl who has a little magical element to her, and then these 2 hurting people who are going to come together because of this girl. Maybe have a little romance, little love between them. I'm not sure, but I just think it sounds really lovely, and I'm really excited for it, and I'm very hopeful. As long as the writing is beautiful, that's what pulled me in with The Snow Child. So I'm hoping the writing of this one is just as beautiful, and if so, it could be 5 stars. We'll see. So here are the 5 books that I do think are going to be 5-star reads for me. I would love to know if you've read any of these. Do you agree with my assessment, my prediction? I'm aiming for like May, June to finish all 5 of these, possibly sooner. That would be great if I could do it sooner. But I'm not known for being very on top of things when it comes to 5-star predictions, but these are not going to sit on my cart. They're going to sit in their own place, so I see them and am reminded to pick them up. Hopefully I can get them all done by June and then do another round for the second half of the year as well. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of these books. Which ones are you most excited for me to read? Do you think I'm going to give them 5 stars? I'm really hopeful. But that's going to be it for me today. I would love to chat with you down in the comments about these books or anything else. What book do you hope is going to be a 5-star read this year? I would love to hear your own prediction for your own reading. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to talking with you in another video very soon. Bye.